Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, Jamie Dawn, and I am an intuitive astrologer, psychic, life coach, success coach, and I'm thrilled to be here today with you guys. And today happens to be, oh, it's December already, almost the end of the year, if you can believe that. Here we are, December 11th with this recording. It's a great way to wrap up 2025 and welcome 26 because I have a guest today, which I'm so thrilled about. And many of you have heard me talk on my celestial wisdom videos and different ways in which I'm trying to communicate with the energy that's happening for us on a regular basis about the trend that seems to be here for us, especially now more than ever, of listening to our intuition, developing our energy bodies, coming into a place where we are so much more aware of consciousness, of self-awareness, of healing. We as human beings need to find ways in which we come back to ourselves and that we trust ourselves again, and we know what powerful ways in which our body has such wisdom and healing opportunities. And so I thought, who better to bring on as a guest than a very powerful energy worker? Because today I am thrilled to welcome this beautiful guest whose life work has been rooted in helping others find clarity and confidence and a deeper sense of well-being. For many years, JeanMarie guided students and families through some of their most important transitions, whether it was high school or college. And when she retired, she didn't step away from that service. She stepped into a new calling. She felt drawn to continue supporting people, but in a way that aligned more fully with her gifts as a Reiki practitioner and intuitive healer. Her mission is simple and beautiful: help others feel better, both, well, I shouldn't say both, I should say all, physically, emotionally, energetically, so that they can move through their goals with more peace of mind, more alignment, more happiness. And JeanMarie believes that the challenge we face, whether it's illness or fear, anxiety, I can all relate to that, repetitive life patterns that you just can't shake, begins with the energy system. Let's get to the root cause, not just treat the symptoms. And often these are rooted in unresolved emotional experiences or trauma the body hasn't released yet. So through Reiki and Shamanic Healing, she helps clients gently shift and realign energy blueprints so that they can reconnect with their power, trust their decisions, rediscover healing that exists within every single one of us. She's compassionate, intuitive, transformational, and I am thrilled to welcome JeanMarie Wilson here to my channel. Welcome, lady. I'm so happy you're here.
Yay. Thank you, Jamie. That was quite an introduction.
And also amazingly true. So
Thank you.
yeah. Where to begin, right? I think that it would be great just to talk about, let's at a very basic level, what is energy? Why is it important?
Hmm. Yes, it is so important. And there are so many different types of energy healing available to people that people have become familiar with, for the most part, such as Reiki or acupuncture or sound healing, Qigong. And they all work with energy, and they're all important and valuable in their own right. And energy is so important because everything is energy. Our physical bodies, our physical environment, our thoughts, emotions, words, feelings, everything stems from energy. So when I have people coming with issues or my own issues that I'm working on, yes, we want to work on what is apparent and what we're feeling and thinking and experiencing. However, I have found that it is so important to go to that energetic realm and do work there because it is so powerful. And oftentimes that's where the problems begin, in the energetic realm, and work their way down to the physical. So all of these different types of modalities work on these energy centers within us and around us and bring the medicine there. So the work can take place at the point of origin, which I think is so important, that a lot of times we look to alleviate a symptom or get rid of a feeling that's bothering us. But where did these problems and issues, whether they're physical or emotional, where did they begin? And so in the energy work and in the shamanic work that I do, we always go to the point of origin. And what does that mean exactly? So a problem could start because of a past life. A problem could start with a person because of an ancestral pattern that's been passed down, or some negative energies that are around them. Or maybe they have some soul loss due to trauma. So all of those issues have started in that energetic realm. And so when we do this work, we go to the energetic realm, bring the medicine, bring the healing, the process is there, work there with the helping spirits. And then that work and that resolution translates down to the physical, to the person, to their environment, to their experience. And that's why I feel it is so powerful and so life-changing. I've experienced it as far as it being life-changing for myself, and I've seen it in clients and people that I work with.
What was that? Yeah, awesome. Because like you, I believe everything is energy. And we know this about a resonation or resonance is that when you're in a particular vibration, then another vibration that comes in, you start to align your frequencies.
Yes,
So
yes.
bringing that healing alignment is so crucial. What was that undeniable moment for you that said, this works?
There were so many. I know at one time I had this issue, this breathing issue, and I couldn't get a full breath. And I had everything checked out physically. Nothing was wrong, thank goodness. And I had energetic healing and shamanic work done for me. And within a couple of weeks, it resolved. I also was doing energetic and healing work on myself for the breathing issue. And at one point, I felt my hands, they were buzzing. I actually looked at them to see what was happening with them because they were so electrified that was like that was physical evidence to me that this work is real. And I've had a lot of different, situations like that where I've seen and felt the work and know that it's real, that it really does work.
What would you say to someone, a skeptic or cynical, who's like, I don't believe in anything that the five senses can't participate in? That unseen realm, right?
Yeah. Well, you believe in electricity, and you can't always,
Mhm.
quantify that. But I mean, someone doesn't have to believe in the work in order to try it. They just have to be willing and open to try it and give permission for it. And it doesn't work for everyone because someone can block the results of it. I'm not the healer. The person is the actual healer, and the helping spirits do the heavy lifting. So I'm just an mediary, just a channel. But somebody can, push away any healing work that could take place. And people can be skeptics. However, there are many instances, if you can read about and you can look up about this work being real and having real effects. To me, it's worth a try because I find that people are searching for help. They're in crisis, they're experiencing pain, traumatic feelings, unresolved feelings, and modern medicine is a great complement, as well as talk therapy. It's a great complement. However, I feel, particularly with talk therapy, that it does take more time sometimes than in complementing energy healing. I think it moves at a faster pace for someone. So with a skeptic, I mean, everybody has a right to their beliefs and feelings and to define what's right for them. But to me, it's worth giving it a try if you've tried other things and you're not really getting results.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this. What's the worst that could happen?
You don't get any results, you don't change. Yeah.
Right.
In
I
fact,
will
you get
say,
one.
sure. And have you had anyone come to you as a skeptic and say, one, I don't believe in it, and two, if I did give you this chance, what if something bad happens?
Well, I don't feel that anything bad will happen as a result of the work. I think at the worst case, you may there. Well, let me quantify that. Sometimes when people go through energy healing work, they do go through what's called a healing crisis. And so that could mean that on a very temporary basis, their symptoms increase a little bit, or they have a lot of emotions that come up that are uncomfortable. And so that could be a result of a healing session for people. But again, it's temporary. And on the other side of that is where the healing and some improvement is seen. So I don't think anything bad can happen as a result of the work. At the worst case, they're back where they started from. But I feel like it has an 80% success rate, which I think is pretty good.
That is pretty good. Well, and I often equate it too of our physical body, somebody who needs those five senses. It's like when my daughter broke her collarbone in 10th grade, she had to have her sling and let the body do its natural healing. And she
Right.
went through pain and discomfort, especially
Yeah.
that second, third day after the accident happened. And that was her body's way of healing,
Yeah.
just what you're describing. So even though we may experience discomfort or pain after a healing session, that means it could be working.
Yeah. And sometimes even, I know working with emotions and healing and growth and transformation, sometimes going through that process takes you through a really dark place, a tough place. But beyond that is where the gifts are and the lessons and the revelations lie. So doing this healing work and growing and changing is not always easy. It's not always rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes it is hard work to look at what's been going on with us and take an honest, compassionate look at it and take those steps forward. As long as we keep walking forward, step by step, getting support when we need it, and not staying stuck or going back to old habits or patterns, we're making progress. And there is light beyond that.
Well, and that's also where someone like yourself, myself, other energy workers out there are companions along that healing journey with the individuals that come to you. So not only, yes, there is pain and growth. It's called growing pains for a reason. We're not going to escape it. That's part of the human experience. But what you're offering is a skill, a tool, a support to go through that pain and discomfort and not be alone, to not feel equipped to be able to handle it too.
Right, right. That support is key. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What often do you witness, and you even experience for yourself, happens in the body when you're working with someone or you've had energy work for yourself?
Well, what happens in the body, it depends on the type of energy work you're having, but you often feel a lot of energy moving. And sometimes it does feel a little odd or a little strange. And sometimes when energy is moving through a blocked area, it could feel a little uncomfortable as it moves through a stagnant area. So there are moments of that. However, a lot of the time when you're doing this type of healing work, I have found that people feel very relaxed, they feel tingly, they feel warm, they feel kind of like in a meditative state, and they feel a lot of release and relief. afterwards.
Yeah, fantastic. How do you decide what modality, energy healing to use on a
Mhm.
client?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, because I've had the 2-year shaman training program and I use shamanic journeying often for myself and also in sessions and prior to sessions, the first thing that I do is talk with the individual about what I do to see if it's a match for them, if they like what I do and what I offer. And then I ask them for some of their 2 to 3 goals or intentions for their session. And that can be very generic, such as wanting more peace in their life, or it could be very specific goals. And then I'll take those goals and I'll focus on the person and I'll do shamanic journeying, which is where you shake the rattle or bang the drum. You go into an altered state and meet with your helping spirits. And I'll meet with my helping spirits to talk about what would benefit the person in that session. And they will bring up suggestions and a focus. And I will take that information, add it into what I feel might be beneficial. And because I've had an education background, I do kind of a lesson plan
Nice.
before the session, and I outline what our goal is. And the sessions go for about 90 minutes, and what our modalities are and our processes are for that session. And then when I meet with the client, I'll go over what the helping spirits shared. And I always use journeying, shamanic journeying in the session with the client as well. They can ask questions and I'll do the journeying with them. And then I'll go over the information that I gathered and ask them, if they're interested in going through all of it or some of it or one of it, or, it's their session. And I like them to take ownership of what they want to do. So I'll make suggestions and then we go from there. And sometimes when we're in the session, although we have a lesson plan in a way, sometimes information will come up and take us on a different path, and then we'll discuss that as well.
Very cool. What about how maybe the energy being stagnant, stuck, how does that show up for a lot of people when they come to you?
Yeah, so I've been really interested in somatic body work, and a lot of the times, this stagnant energy, when it's not released, when we don't heed the whispers, we get that loud shout in the form of something happening in our body, whether it's a strong emotion, anxiety, depression, whether it's physical pains and aches or an illness. And at that point, our body is communicating something to us that we need to pay attention to, that we've kind of pushed aside, denied, or been too busy to tend to. And so the first thing to realize is that our bodies are not betraying us. They're not trying to hurt us. And that these illnesses or these problems are not random. They lodge, this dense energy lodges somewhere to get our attention, to bring it to the light, to bring it to healing, to resolve it, to have it stop orchestrating our lives in ways that are not positive for us and don't honor us. And so our bodies are trying to communicate with us. And in the somatic body work, I take clients through guided meditations to connect with their bodies, and we ask pointed questions to the body during this work, and we listen for the messages and the images and the feelings that come up and what our bodies want to communicate to us to facilitate this healing and this release of this stagnant, dense energy that lodged somewhere. We can ask questions like, what are you trying to show me? What are you holding for me? What do I need to know? What haven't I dealt with? Where do I need to move higher in my life to become more? What else can I become beyond this? And our bodies know the answers. They have the answers for us. And we just have to slow down enough and tap in, like you mentioned before, connect with our intuition, our intuitive senses, to not always use the mind to figure things out, but we have a lot of other avenues for us that we don't always utilize. And they're not as loud as the mind. The mind is a chatterbox, it's loud and gets our attention. But if we quiet down a little bit and bring in some meditation or some journaling, we can connect to that intuition, that intuitive sense that really has so many answers for us. And a lot of the times, this dense, stagnant, stuck energy is due to trauma. Something we've experienced, went through, whether childhood or young adult or adulthood, that we didn't fully deal with and needs to, again, be brought out to the light with compassion and love for ourselves, and look at it and learn from it and see how we can transmute it into more power for us and less victimhood.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because we know that stuck energy blocks this flow. A lot of people are familiar with being in the flow, if you will. And we can
Right.
equate it to a river flowing. And if there's a big dam that beavers have built or whatever, what happens to the river? It stops, right? It stops flowing.
Right.
And the same thing with our body, with the energy flowing of health and wealth is, subjective, but, the energy of that can get stuck if we
Yeah.
don't deal with the traumas or I'll say the vows that we make to ourselves. Let's say we
Yeah.
were hurt by somebody. I'll never do that again. Woo, right there, you've just blocked
Oh,
something.
yeah. And a lot of times we curse ourselves just by, saying, "Oh, I'm too fat," or I'm not smart enough," or whatever it is. That's a self-curse. We have to really be careful with what we say about ourselves and what we allow others not to say, because we can't control what they say, but what we allow what others say to affect us.
That's right. Have you ever experienced working with someone? They're new, they come to you, they're kind of not sold on the energy work, or maybe they are, but they haven't seen great results in the past from others or themselves. Anyways, there's resistance to the change. They
Yes.
want to be there, but then they get there and they're like, I don't know, I'm so attached to this trauma that I've held.
Yes.
It's because it's become my identity, right?
Yes.
What do you notice with that? How do you help someone loosen the grip on resistance?
Yeah. So that is very common. I've experienced it myself many times. I could give many examples of that where, you're holding on to this story and it is not serving you. But I think part of that is the important part to that, many important parts, but one of them is to release the victim story. When we claim to be victims of society, of others, of our families, of our childhood, or of our employers, whoever it is, we're giving them the power, and we are saying our happiness depends on how they act towards us. And that is one way to just relinquish really great steps towards change. So I think it's important, if someone's feeling resistance, to look at, are they in that victim story at all? And the other thing I think is really important is self-honesty. And there is so much denial in this work and in our growth, because it's hard to look at ourselves sometimes to see where our shadows are playing out for us, our wounded sides, that may have served us at one time. They may have been survival strategies for us at a younger age. But I think that moving through the resistance is also looking at those shadows and saying, how are they playing out now, and are they working for us? And if not, can we look at those shadow aspects of ourselves with love and compassion, not judgment, but look at them and see where they're playing out, how they're playing out, where they stemmed from, again, going back to that point of origin. But also, what if we eased up on them? What kinds of power and positive archetypes could take their place? And that's the exciting part. We don't want to look at those shadows and say, oh yeah, they're part of us, but we all have them. This life is not easy, and we've all developed some types of survival methods to get through different aspects of it. So looking at that with love and acceptance is a big step, not avoiding and denying it, and just being as honest as we can with support. And that's what I think good therapy can do, great energy healers can do. Hold space for the client without judgment and let them be their own healers. Let them activate their own power in this process and take it forward in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Because just like Western medicine or even some alternate medicine workers, they create the environment. They offer the tools for the individual to heal, but they can't actually get inside that person's body and heal them.
No.
No matter what we do. Even surgeons, who are repairing things, the body still has to heal. It has to accept the repair.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's an individual journey, but we don't have to do it alone.
No.
One of the things that I'm always fascinated, resistance is one of those, as I say, resistance is futile. Resistance is something that is a natural reaction for us human beings when we're facing pain, discomfort, something that we are afraid of. Basically, it's unknown. That's how I see shadow also. It's a bit of an unknown that now we bring the light to it and it becomes known to us. And like you're saying, we're not pushing it away, we're integrating it to be able to say, how can I turn this weapon, if you will, into a tool? And one of the things with resistance that I find fascinating is that when I met with my own resistance, that's usually the place that I need to take the jackhammer to.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So
you do. And people are typically not thrilled about change.
Right. Why is that?
It's because it's unknown and the ego kicks its legs and screams and says, no way, you're going to be unsafe. We don't know what's going to happen. And then you just stay with the good enough, stay with the mediocrity, stay with what you know. We know this territory and it's not great. We don't love it, but at least we know it. And, venturing into that unsafe, unknown place, it's scary. It is scary. I'm not saying it's not. It is for everyone, no matter who you are. However, I think there comes a point when people are ready to change, when they're in enough pain, when the place of the unknown is worth the risk, and the place that they know is just too uncomfortable. And sometimes that takes a physical illness or a physical pain. Sometimes it's an emotional issue or a life challenge that comes up. But those are the times when people are shook into transformation, into change, into taking that step, because the alternative is just as painful or worse.
I've experienced this, and I'm sure you have as well, but just to bring it to light, that you work with somebody more than once even, and they default back to the familiar. That is something that I just want the audience to really understand, that if we're doing that, if we go back to what's familiar, it's exactly what you're pointing to of, oh, it's change. I can't handle this change. It's too much. I want to go back to sleep, so to speak.
Yeah.
Be awake and aware of what's going on. It was much easier to stay asleep. It's much easier to not do the healing.
Well, that's why they call it the hero's journey.
That's right.
It's the hard road, but there are tremendous gains. I mean, I've experienced a number of times where I thought something that had happened to me was just catastrophic and horrible, and I hated every minute of it until I got beyond it and saw the reason for it. And believe me, I don't want to go through it again, but I see the reasons. I see the gifts that came out. If you're open to seeing them, if you take that step and that trust a little bit, trust in the divine, trust in yourself, that there are reasons, and have support during it, but look for that insight, look for that awareness that could come out of those experiences. And
Absolutely.
there are beautiful gifts there.
Yep, I totally agree. My little control freak inside of me wants to go back to the familiar and it doesn't want to. But like you said, there are blessings on the other side of it.
There
Even
are.
if it's just that moment of self-awareness, so you're not falling back into the old pattern
Yeah.
that may have put. I mean, I always say, look, it's a grand experiment. What's the worst that could happen? Nothing.
Oh,
Clearly,
well.
but we know that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over
Yes,
again, expecting a different
exactly.
result. So when people are coming to you for healing, they are obviously looking for something. And
Yes,
for me, I say the very first thing that the gateway, if you will, to this work is willingness. Just be willing.
yes, yes. Willing. That's it. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to have experience with it. You don't have to necessarily believe in it. Just be willing to give it a try and be open. Trust, have some trust in the process as much as you can.
Yeah, without losing any sort of
Yeah.
confidentiality, are there any patterns that you've noticed that show up for individuals? What common ones
Oh, common patterns. Um,
or themes? Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to think of a common pattern or theme. I mean, I think what I've seen a lot i- is the issue of anxiety in people who are struggling with this resistance to change and wanting more in their lives, but not willing to take that leap, or even trying to take the leap and feeling anxious about it. Just I felt like a lot of people are coming with an overriding issue of anxiety in addition to physical issues or other things going on, that they're just not feeling relaxed. They're feeling pretty stressed overall. And again, we can look into that to see where it's stemming from. Reiki and energy healing in general are typically is very relaxing and brings a lot of life force energy in. So clients receive like an influx of healing energy and life force energy, which is very relaxing, and that does last. An energy healing session doesn't just stop when the person leaves, it continues to work for weeks later. But I have seen that. I have seen a lot of stress and anxiety. People kind of wound up kind of tight.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, we know that anxiety tends to stem from that worrying of the future, the things we can't control, and we start
Yeah.
overthinking. We talk about the monkey mind. I mean, the mind is meant to think, but
And
like you pointed to earlier, it's also important to have practices that help to train the mind, just like we go to the gym or have a practice with running
right.
or whatever it is. We're training our physical body. We have to train the mind
Yeah.
just as much.
Oh yeah. If we let the mind go, we'll be going down those railroad tracks at full speed and places we didn't want to go.
I write great telenovelas, I'm telling you. My novels are the best sellers with the readership of one. Yeah, it's so true. Well, and so again, without breaking any sort of confidentiality, what maybe was one example of this like breakthrough? You've been working with somebody and
Mhm.
they had a major breakthrough. What happened?
This one woman came because of migraines, and she had debilitating migraines,
Mm.
and they were, had to take off from work, was in bed for days, that type of thing. And she came for a session, and we looked into, through shamanic journeying, what was the cause. There was some ancestral issues that were passed down with trauma that happened to her, the female side of her mother's lineage, and that was passed down to her, and that was causing a lot of stress. So we worked on removing that from her lineage, and when we do that, it removes that not just from the client, but from the past ancestors and the descendants. So that's really exciting work. She also had a spirit attachment, and that can certainly wreak havoc with many parts of your body, and migraines for her in particular. So I used a process of compassionate depossession, brought the person to spirit, to the light, and removed that person, that spirit from her energy field. And that created a lot of relief for her, because the person was right kind of on her shoulder, hanging on. And we did a lot of other energy work, and I heard within 2 weeks that her migraines were gone, and they haven't returned.
Oh, I got
And
you.
I was more surprised than her, because that was pretty, pretty
That's
quick.
significant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily happen in one session.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah.
How do you support your clients in like everyday life? Granted, I know you probably have some people who come just for one session and that's that, and
Mhm.
but you also have some regulars, and
Yeah.
how do you support them in everyday life?
Well, I see, it's not like therapy where you see somebody once a week or even every other week. I would say every 3 weeks or so, 3 to 4 weeks should be the max for this type of work, because it does go pretty intensely, and it does take some time after a session for the work to translate in. So I support people by, when they're coming for regular appointments, to really take a situation that they want movement on, that has been really long-standing for them, that has created a lot of problems in their lives. And we look at it from all different facets. We do a lot of energy work around that one issue and get movement on that until that they're satisfied with that. But it's nice to work with somebody on a somewhat regular basis, and you get to know them, they get to know you, and you just really develop the work and go deeper and deeper each time.
Beautiful. So, for anyone who's watching and listening to this, if they were feeling stuck, overwhelmed, anxiety, what's one thing that they could possibly do today that might
Mm.
help?
I would say that they should take advantage of some guided meditations that they can find on my website. They can find them on YouTube. You can Google them. There's different practitioners that offer them, and do some guided meditations focusing on whatever it is the person is dealing with.
Which I got
And
your beautiful meditation.
oh,
I'm
thank
signed
you.
up. Thank you for your
Thank you.
meditation.
It's
Yeah.
fun to do.
Yeah.
But I would start with that. I would also start with getting out into nature a little bit more, communing with the elements, communing with the earth, the trees, um, sitting in the sun for a few minutes, looking at the moon at night. The elements are helping spirits as well. You can ask the moon to bring you some things that you would like to have happen. You can release things to the moonlight, sunlight. You can ask the sun to bring you power. You can picture the sun and the moonlight within you and let it radiate out throughout your body. There's so many different tools and practices that you can do. Journaling again. Let your body and your emotions and just your inner spirit, your intuition, just talk to you. Sometimes journaling with your non-dominant hand works even better.
Yep. Yeah, what you're pointing to, and I just want to put a little pin on that map for anybody listening. It's that journaling, actually taking a pen or pencil to paper, is much more kinesthetic and releasing of the thought form energy than typing on a computer. Because one of the other things, again, I'm not demonizing technology, I use it, all of that, but there is a different vibration. We talk about that resonation and frequency. There's a much different vibration with computer technology and the human technology or energy field than there is with something natural like paper, pencil, that sort of thing. Because remember, we're made of nature. So we have that relationship already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most important thing that you want people to understand about healing, personal transformation, energy work? What would be the most important?
The most important thing is that self-love and self-acceptance are the greatest healers. And that, as far as energy work goes, is that it's real, it does work. It's thousands of years old in different modalities. And there's so much more beyond the physical that we can tap into as resources.
Yeah. Can people work with you online and in person?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I can work in person. I'm on Long Island, New York, and I work on Zoom.
Great.
And I work interactively with people on Zoom. So our sessions are live, and we work interactively on these different processes that I offer, and yeah, and energy travels. So it doesn't matter if it's in person or online.
Yeah, beautiful. So where can people find you?
They can find me via my website, JeanMarieWilson.com. There's a contact form, and you can submit that contact form, and I will get back to you within a day or so.
Love it. Thank you for this time. I so
Thank you,
appreciate
JeanMarie.
you. And, I know that there's probably 100 more questions and answers and conversation about energy and that sort of thing. So I do appreciate, I know you're busy and you've got a lot going on. And here we are wrapping up. Oh, I do have one more question before
Yeah.
we let you go. Wrapping up 2025 into 26, what would you say would be of great benefit for the audience when it comes to energy work
Mhm.
to the new year?
Well, 25 was the year of the snake, right? So that was the year of shedding. So, and 26 is the year of the horse. So that's the year of moving forward into your manifestations, hopefully. So I would say design a ritual for yourself. You could do a fire ritual, water ritual, whatever type of ritual you want. You can look those up online as well. And think about what you've shed in 25, what you want to continue to shed and release. And then think about what you want to bring in and move forward to, and design a ritual around that for the new year. And do that. And that would be a great way to embrace the new year.
I love it. I'd much rather do ritual than write New Year's resolutions
Me
because
too.
I don't do resolutions anyways. It's like, why start now? Why haven't I started this a year ago or 2 months ago or whatever? So
Right.
I love it. So rituals for
Yes.
2026. I love it. I love it. Thank you again for this time.
Thank
I
you so
so
much, Jamie.
appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to continue to work with you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I
Chief.
as well.